Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Real Estate Playbook. My name is Paul, coming to you from Tampa, Florida. That's right. Today is a special day. I'll tell you why, okay? Been waiting for this moment for quite some time. Number one, we have a great guest here today, so welcome.
Thank you.
I'll introduce her in just a moment. But in case you didn't know, today is episode 50, 50. So let's... Oh, yeah.
Oh,
The crowd goes wild. Ah.
Oh.
So a lot of episodes, a lot of hours of me talking. Just wanted to start off by saying thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate ya. Now to bring it to our guest here today, very special guest. Her name is Allison Montgomery. How are you, Allison?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Bring this a little bit closer.
A little closer?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, just a little bit of echo there.
Okay.
It's
Good.
Paul in producer mode right there.
Oh, gotcha.
So, Allison, I appreciate you making the time to come out on a Sunday.
Oh, yes. No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is your first time on the show, so,
It is.
welcome.
Thank you. I had no idea it was the 50th episode.
I know.
That's amazing.
I was trying to not tell you before we started recording.
I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel so special.
No pressure, you know?
Okay,
This is
all
a
right.
special episode.
Jeez, okay, no.
The pit start immediately, right? Listen, I'm already sweating. It's
Yeah.
okay. I was just running around doing some equipment things.
It's cool.
You know, we're chilling.
Yeah.
So, Allison, again, thank you.
You're very welcome.
For the people out there that don't know who Allison Montgomery is. First of all, I
Love
like the
it.
shirt. I'm your homegirl.
I thought it was appropriate.
It is, definitely.
I'm cool, but real estate.
Absolutely. Allison, for the people that don't know you, how would you, well, let me rephrase that. Just maybe tell us a little bit about how you got your start in real estate and maybe how you got to where you are today.
Okay.
Which is here.
Yes. Oh, gosh. It actually started a long time ago. My dad was a kind of a property manager of sorts, but he worked for like a few banks in the foreclosure process. So they were bank-owned properties, and he had to just basically go and check and see if they were, in good condition still, like winterize them, just, take pictures of the properties and whatnot. So, that was what he did on the weekends. And of course I wanted to be with my dad.
Yeah.
So I would tag along, and I just picked it up. My dad always said I have a knack for like real estate or business or whatever, because I really just know how to mimic.
There you go.
That's about it. So I picked up what he did, and I would help him out. And then when I got old enough, he paid me, but I got that money.
Hey.
Yep. So, so I kind of had a knack for seeing properties and being able to kind of evaluate them. It's obviously changed, and that was back in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I am originally from there. So
Nice.
It's a little different market down here.
I would imagine.
Yes. And then I, in my early 20s, I actually worked at a law firm I was a title specialist.
Nice.
So mortgages, deeds, all that fun paperwork. But it got, I was able to kind of get a feel for the paperwork side of it it was actually really cool because I got to kind of like investigate a little bit, and I didn't realize I love that.
Really?
Like, oh my gosh, yes. Because every situation is different, and it was kind of cool to kind of get the backstory of like what's going on with this property. So, but then I got married and had my boys, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Just one of those things I wanted to make a priority, but fully knowing that I was coming back to work.
Right.
I just didn't know I was going to be a real estate agent until me and my husband were just on a walk one day, and he suggested it, and I was like, you know what? That actually does make sense. Mm-hmm. And it just from there, I'm like, well, shoot, yeah, okay, all right, let's do this. But that was also like right during the pandemic.
Go figure. Right?
Of course. So I started the process, but I took my time. I was like, I'm not really gonna, rush into anything. And I actually had to stay home and with my boys and help them through schooling too.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Ooh, busy.
Oh my gosh, yes. So yeah, when I got my license, I again still kind of took my time, and I found 54. I actually kept getting the brochures in the mail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's how I found out about 54 Realty.
We are persistent.
Yes, very much so. But good marketing, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I used to play soccer too, so like the two boys playing soccer, and like that's the picture, Rose and Joe's sons. I was like, okay. And 4 is actually my number, like my soccer number. I'm like, this is meant to be.
The stars aligned.
Yes.
As they say.
Yeah. And then I've been here ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
How long have you been here now? Do you know?
Well, so I started last October just as a leads agent, and I was terrible, to be totally honest, because I'm
nobody comes out the gate hard.
Oh my God. And I'm one of those people that overthink things, and just like my anxiety and fear just definitely got the better of me. But then Tim came on, and actually we did the one-on-ones, and he was like, you're doing everything great. And he actually like gave me some really good direction. And then he called me, I think a few months later, and told me about the showing agent position. I was like, done. I'm on it.
Sign me up.
That's perfect for me, because I just need to kind of get something to help me get out there.
Right.
As bubbly as I am, I'm also very nervous, and just I'll freeze. So if I had some more like direction and just kind of more motivation, that's exactly what I needed.
Right.
So with that, I started the showing agent position in mid-April, and it's been awesome. Like
nice.
It's changed my whole like I've gotten out of my shell. I'm kind of starting to come into my own. It was the best thing ever. So I got to give credit to Tim for that.
Sweet.
For sure.
Shout out to Tim. For the people out there, if you don't know what the showing agent position is, go back and watch Horace's first episode on here.
Oh, yes.
Because that was right when he, I think, had started doing it as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so he talks all about it. But for just maybe like a short version, Allison, if you could kind of tell us what that is.
Absolutely. So whenever a lead comes in, so I'll grab it. And basically my job is just to meet the client, set them up on a house search, and just go and show, just drive around constantly, and get as many people into as many doors as possible. And then when it's time to like write up a contract, I have either Chris or Brooke Overton. I want to say Chris's last name, but I always like butcher it. Marco Trigiano.
Perfect.
Boom.
Boom.
Ah. And Amy. Oh gosh, that's another last name that I want to say. Conchilo.
Close. Kinchelo.
Oh. Okay. All right. She was on for a little bit, but so whenever we go to contract, I kind of hand it over to them. And this way I get the experience of kind of doing the one-on-one with the customers and kind of getting those like jitters out of the way, but really kind of developing the relationships, but not having to worry about the stress of negotiations and, kind of lining up inspections and everything. I'll go to those, but usually the buyer specialist is the one that kind of sets everything up. 'Cause it's just that those were the things I didn't have experience in. And it was very overwhelming especially being a newer agent, and in this time where, even the most experienced agents were having trouble.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of helped me get myself out of my own way, and then get the experience and help from the best of the best of our company. I mean, it really was. So it was crazy how meant to be this position was.
That's awesome.
For me. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for breaking that down. You brought up a couple things. I'm just like making a little list in my head that I'm like, I want to ask you about.
A lot, and I'm nervous.
That's all right. That's all right. The first thing I just wanted to say, I can relate to you in a way, because you were talking about how you started in like title. Mm-hmm. I didn't start in real estate title, but my job before this was working at a car dealership in the title and finance department. So you were talking about how you can sort of build a narrative from all these documents, and I'm like, I can so relate in such a nerdy way.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought I would find somebody that actually enjoyed that, but that means you're one of a kind, Allison.
Oh, thank you.
The other thing you mentioned was being able to sort of like mimic people or like mirror
Right.
people, which Tim, who I don't think he's doing it anymore, but when he was director of training, and he would go over like the sales 101, I think is what they called that presentation.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was a big portion of it, was like being able to mirror people, not in like a, slimy, like taking advantage of kind of
Right.
way, but just a tactic to sort of help you get along with different types of people better.
Yeah, absolutely. So when he was, I was like front row. I
yeah.
couldn't wait for that presentation. And I had my notes on the side. Like even though I wasn't as successful in the beginning as a leads agent, oh my gosh, I had so much training. I just watched video after video of everything. Any webinar I could get my hands on, I would watch. And one of the webinars that I had seen was what he was talking about. And so I actually was able to like grab my notes out. And I'm like, oh my God, he's doing this.
I know what that is.
I know. Oh my gosh. So, ever since that presentation, I've been able to kind of work that into kind of how I do my job, and being able to help the client or customer feel more comfortable,
Right.
just to kind of do what they do, kind of go off of them and what they are, kind of showing what they're comfortable with. I found like it's really easy for me to pick up on, and that's such a huge thing in the housing industry. It's all relationships. It really is, and I guess I realized I had a knack for like wanting to make the other person feel heard and like their needs are being met. And I don't have any agenda, and I mean, I have an agenda. I mean, let's be honest. But according to them, I don't.
Right.
But yeah, and I love to hear the stories. Like it goes back to like my investigative days.
Yeah.
I love hearing their stories, and but my biggest, I guess, lesson that I've learned so far is to make sure I'm staying true to myself and I'm not losing myself in that other person, because there's definitely boundaries can get lost. So
Yeah.
I do, like, I want to make sure they feel comfortable, but also at the same time, I gotta be true to me.
Absolutely.
So,
No, I think that's super important, and definitely a good tactic. Has that helped you out with any like really difficult situations, whether it be a client or a vendor or whatever the situation might be?
Yeah, actually, yes. Last night, even a lead came in, and this guy was just very short, and he didn't understand that. He kept asking where our office was located. I was like, well, we're located in Land O'Lakes, and he was like, no, I don't want. I want somebody that's in the area. I'm like, sir, I'm in the area. I know everything. He's like, oh, okay, you're from the area. Well, what's next to this? I'm like, and I just kind of rattled off a few places. Like, oh, okay, all right. You send me houses, and I'll check them out. Okay,
All right.
That's a plan. And click. But I could tell he was gonna he wanted to hang up on me as soon as he heard where our offices were located. He wanted to hang up right away, and he was very rude about it.
Kind of old school, maybe.
Very.
Yeah.
But I kept my calm, I kept my cool, and just I know that if I have a smile on my face, you can hear it through the phone. So I just kept my smile on. I'm like, sir, it's okay. I know the area. I promise you, we'll take good care
There's a
of you."
McDonald's over there.
Right.
There's a gas
Yeah.
station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere, I bet you right up the road, there's a Publix. So we're good. We got you.
I think that's a safe bet.
Yes.
Allison, you mentioned so you started around a year ago, and obviously, that wasn't the height of the pandemic. I don't know
Right.
when that. Listen.
Yeah.
But these market conditions that were kind of bred under the pandemic or during the pandemic, super tricky,
Right.
insane.
Oh,
And you mentioned how even like really experienced agents were having difficulties, which so true. Like,
Oh, gosh.
this is what I do. I ask them, I say,
Yeah.
what's going on? What's going on?
Right.
So as far as I know, it's shifting a little bit.
Yes.
Supposedly getting a little bit easier for agents and for clients,
Yes.
home buyers and such.
Yes.
I know that as a showing agent in your current role, you probably have to answer like all kinds of questions from people about like, am I going to have to bid, 10,000
Right.
over and this and that?
Yes.
So just wondering if you could offer any insight into like what things you're seeing these days that are maybe different from when you first started.
Well, I am talking to a lot more listing agents.
Oh boy.
That's for sure. And now they're reaching out to me too. So the tides have kind of changed when the listing agents are reaching out and saying, there's a price improvement if your buyer's still interested. So it definitely has, I've been able to kind of slow things down for sure. And in doing so, I get to know them a little bit better. So, establishing that relationship and then building on it has been something that's really cool too. It's no more of the, oh, I like it, I got to see it. And boom, let's put an offer in and go 20,000 over or 50,000 over asking price. It's no longer those days, thankfully. But yeah, now I'm kind of seeing some home buyers that if they're serious, they've kind of seen and kept up with at least on Zillow, what's on Zillow. And if a house is on Zillow for longer than 20, 30 days, then they're
Suspicious.
very. So I have to kind of calm their nerves a little bit, and they get a little bit too excited. I'm like, well, they probably had another mortgage or something like that, and they have to move out quickly. So let's underbid them. Like, no. I see what you're saying.
Right.
I got you. However, so you definitely have to manage their expectations, which can be tricky sometimes. But I, again, I just kind of put the ball in their court. I give them the information and kind of put it in their court and see, whatever they say goes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I can steer and direct and guide, but honestly, I've found that they already have their minds made up. So unless they're new first-time home buyers, I can kind of guide them and they'll listen to me. But I just find it funny, the houses that are on the market a little bit longer. I feel sorry for them, especially if they have to do like a price improvement.
Yeah, improvement. Interesting word.
I know. As soon as I saw that one, I was like, oh, that's good. But you're not fooling me. But hopefully you'll fool some other people. I like good for you. Even the listing agents, like when I'm a big cheerleader for them too. Even if I've never met them, don't know them, and but they get an offer or something like that, they have to cancel my showing. I'm like, oh, congratulations, that's awesome. So I'm just I don't know. I just want to make people feel better.
Yeah.
And, I'm one of those, it doesn't matter who you are. I want everybody to do a good job and, be nice and respectful to everybody, and we'll all get along.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm so sorry. You just triggered something in my brain that was like, I was watching Survivor last night.
Oh, yeah.
Total tangent, but if you've seen Survivor, it's all about pitting each other against each other and so on and so forth. And this one guy was wearing a T-shirt when he showed up that said, "Why can't we all just get along?" And I thought that was so funny.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, that is me. I feel like it's very kumbaya, but I mean, nowadays it can get a little scary out there. And if I can bring any positivity to the world, even if nobody knows about it, I don't really care. I'm just going to put that out there. I am very big into karma, and what goes around comes around. So I just want to always, be a big cheerleader for everybody. So.
Well, that's awesome. I think we need more of that out there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You raise an interesting point, which is it can get a little heated out there sometimes. And we don't really talk about that a whole lot on this show, but obviously there's plenty of real estate agents out there, right?
Yes.
Plenty.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of how to ask you this question, but to what degree do you think, probably not within the brokerage, but between other brokerages, there is like an aspect of, dog eat dog, you know what I mean?
Oh, very much so. So I know with listing agents, they are, they have to fight for their clients, and I'm kind of in the middle of a situation where I'm trying to like think about
You're trying to be political, right?
I know. Yeah. I don't want to like offend anybody or upset anybody, but they take their listings very seriously, as they should.
Right.
So I've gotten like rejected a couple of times just to go show a property, and it's like, oh wow, okay, so you are serious, like you only want the best of the best. But if I ever get an opportunity to meet a listing agent or even just another agent, I'm always, very respectful and say hi, and I get some side looks like, what are you doing? Like, you're my competition. Like, oh, but it's okay, guys. Whoever's going to win will win. It's okay.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I feel like that's one of those things where the longer I'm in the business, I'm going to get a little bit more experience with. But so far, I haven't really had anybody other than listing agents that are like kind of, really protective of their clients.
Yeah.
I haven't had to deal with anything that's too like,
Sharky.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
And that's why I'm always like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I'm that type of person that will like, I'll type out a text and exclamation point after everything, because I want them to be like, oh, she's a nice person. And then I'll go back. I'm like, oh, no. The next exclamation mark is just too much. Let's put a period. Okay. And then, let's not do a smiley face. So I have to go over my text messages quite often.
The same way. I overthink every little, every word, every punctuation mark,
Yeah, because I don't want to get yelled at either, but I have to ask questions. I have to be an advocate for my clients, so I'm overly cautious when it comes to other agents, and I just want to if we can all get along. Amen.
That's the theme of this episode. Right. Okay, why can't we all just get along? Yes. My mom used to say, and this came up on a previous episode, but I'll throw it out there again because I think you'll agree with, you should be nice to everybody because you never know who you're going to see again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh.
And that could come back to bite you.
Oh, absolutely. And because I have to get in contact with so many different people, I'm always curious whenever I go to type in a number on my phone, if I have to call them or reach out to them, if it's going to pop up. And I had a previous conversation. And I'm always I'm waiting for the day for that to happen, so I can see, how did you treat me?
Yeah.
And how did I sound even more? But yeah, I feel like with this business, so many new people. There's so many new people.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh
my gosh. But the ones that have stuck around, I do like to, have conversations with them, and the more respectful that they are, it's just the easier, the smoother the process is going to go. So it's why not just be, nice and be forthcoming.
Yeah.
If there's anything that I need to know, just let me know.
Exactly.
But yeah, sometimes it does not go that way.
Well, glad to hear you haven't had any overwhelmingly negative experiences. That's good.
Yeah. Yes. Thank goodness. So far, knock on wood.
Exactly. Yeah. She's going to walk out of here and get yelled at on
Oh
the phone
my gosh,
or something.
I know.
Allison, so one of the very first episodes of the show we did was with Gio Rodriguez. Shout out to Gio.
Oh, hey.
Love that guy. And I asked him what I'm about to ask you too.
Yes.
Because Gio, if you know him, if you don't, I'm just going to tell you, he's very positive, very chill is maybe an oversimplification, but he's a pretty chill guy, right?
Yeah.
I see you as the same kind of personality type, very positive,
cool.
Very outgoing.
Yeah.
That's tricky, right? It can be tricky at times,
It can be, yes. Because there's definitely that that expectation of, if you're just kind of in thinking or in the moment and you're not that bubbly, happy-go-lucky self, it can be misconstrued as, oh my gosh, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get kind of hard sometimes.
Dicey.
You have to you got to find a way to deal with the stress of this job for sure. If you let it eat you up, that happy-go-lucky just goes out the door. So thankfully, I have a good morning routine. I get up, I kind of grab my coffee and down one cup and then get the next one. And then I meditate every morning. And
Nice.
it's just it helps. I feel like you have to have an avenue to get rid of all of the stress and negativity that can come your way. And it's a lot of times it's not so much people being mean or rude. It's just they don't know any better.
Right.
And when you know better, you know that maybe they could have handled it differently. So it can kind of drag you down a little bit, and it can get exhausting to just keep having to put that happy, smiley-go-lucky face on. So yeah, I definitely, meditation is like, I do it. Just do it. Even if you don't know how, or, oh my gosh, I can't recommend it like anymore. And I know my husband loves it when I meditate too, because then I'm a nicer person at home. I feel so sorry for him because I'm amazing with new friends and strangers and everything. But at the end of the day, when I come home, if I'm frustrated, unfortunately, he takes the brunt.
That's how it goes, right? I hear you on that one.
Oh my gosh. So, but yeah, it can definitely get daunting to kind of try and stay positive, but I don't know. I've just kind of always been that type of person, and I hope that never goes away. The day that it starts like affecting my work, that's when I'll know I need to kind of maybe either redirect or go somewhere else or just change it up, because I don't ever want to not be a positive person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, just kind of always been like that.
Well, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out which way to go here, because I do want to ask you about the meditation, but
Okay.
man, why did that make me think of? It's not important. So awesome. I love that. I love that attitude. I love that approach. I think people have this perception of meditation that it's kind of like wooey, or like they don't know where to start or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
I try to get it in where I can as well.
Yeah.
I think that also came up with Raymond, because he was talking about like he does very similar things to kind of draw a line in the sand between like his me time and work time.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go too much into it, but is there somewhere you'd recommend people start, or like a video to watch or anything if they want to get into the meditation sort of?
So I actually was going to belong to, I got really into meditation, and I'm not the type of person to just like try something like just a little bit. I dive in.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, I love meditation. Why not be a Buddhist?
Yeah, well, hey.
Of course. But there's actually, it's Florida, Florida Mindfulness, Florida Community of Mindfulness. And it's actually a highly recognized Buddhist, like, there's this
organization.
Yeah. And they have so many videos online. Oh my goodness.
Oh, cool.
And you can kind of dive into that world if that's your thing. But if not, they've got like videos on YouTube. So I usually, if I'm struggling to do it on my own, I'll just bring up some of their videos and their guided meditation, and it's so cool. But I also use, I don't have my watch on right now, but I use the Fitness Plus app, like the Apple.
Oh, yeah.
And they've got guided meditation too.
Really?
Yes, it is amazing.
I had no idea.
Yeah, some of them are 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but just anywhere. It's really just getting what I didn't know. What I thought was a really cool thing about it, I had no idea this is one of the main reasons why you should meditate, is because it's really just getting into the habit of, allowing something to come in and then, peacefully like letting it go. And in this job, there are so many things that can bug you and can weigh you down. So if you kind of can get in the practice of just letting it go, and that's where I feel like I'm hoping I can keep my positivity for a very long time. So yeah, just learning how to, stuff's going to come at you, whether you like it or not. And so dealing with it, you have the choice. And if you want to let it sit and, marinate in yourself, then that's not fun.
Exactly.
Let that stuff go. Boom.
Let it wash over you.
Yes.
I think that's great advice, Allison. I think that's a good practice for anyone to give a shot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just start off small. Start off with a couple of minutes and go from there. It's there. That's the cool thing about it, is you do with it what you want, and wherever it goes, it goes. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Allison, a lot of things, a lot of different paths here, but I want to get back to talking about sort of your career path.
Okay.
A tumultuous year, if you will, right? Not because of you personally, but just because of the state of the market and such.
Yes.
What would you say has been your greatest strength or personality trait that's allowed you to persist?
I, my positivity.
Yeah,
I swear, I tell you, if I can talk to a client and relate to them and start it off on the right foot, I feel like that's made all the difference. There's a little bit of luck that goes into it, but I'm a strong believer in, creating good habits, always having a good attitude, and never judging anybody, and going into that in every lead that comes in, I take very seriously.
Right.
At least I try to. And I make sure that I prepare myself as much as possible. And so that whenever things do start to happen, the luck that comes from it, it's just I've put in the hours of preparation and just kind of getting into that right frame of mind and that having that right attitude. And because all the like professional stuff, like the experience, knowing like square footage and how many bedrooms and bathrooms and stuff like that, and what is the market going to do? That stuff I'll learn. Mm-hmm. So, but in the time being, there are things that I can do every single day to kind of help me prepare myself to make the most of the day.
Yeah.
And following up with clients, that is, oh my goodness. I didn't realize I was not that great at following up with people until I have to keep track of our follow-up boss. And I definitely need to work on my follow-up game.
Hey.
But that's what this company, that's why I love this company, is because we're given the tools to do that.
Yeah.
And in the direction, it's awesome because, yes, having a positive attitude and making that first connection is great. It's important. But following it up with that same, like positivity and that same kind of guidance, I feel like that's where some agents might struggle. Mm-hmm. Following up with clients is amazing. I'm sure everybody can agree. I totally lost my train of thought.
No,
for a second.
You totally answered my question.
Okay,
so
good.
It's a lot of moving parts, you know. On the flip side, Allison, everybody has struggles. I hesitate to use the word weakness because, we're all just human beings.
Yes.
But if you could talk about like maybe one obstacle or sort of roadblock that you've maybe had over the past year.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that, and if it's something that's in the rear view or if it's something that, you're still working on.
So the dreaded phone, phone calls.
Tell me about it.
Oh my God.
Hey, we were talking about that a little bit before, yeah.
Right. Yes. No, I love to be able to do like multitask and do two things at once, but when I'm on the phone, all bets are off.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of person that can be like, yeah, what'd you say? No, I can't do that. So all my attention is directed towards that conversation, which as it should be.
Right.
But man, I get so much anxiety. Again, it's the overthinking. So if I can plan out what I'm going to say, I would prefer to do that.
For sure. I get it.
It's that on the spot. Like, I just feel like I'm going to get caught like deer in headlights. Like, oh crap, you asked that question? I don't know. But yeah, phone calls, that's my biggest obstacle right now is making sure I'm following up with people in phone calls. But really that's just all in my head. Cause then whenever I do get on the phone, I find that like, I love hearing their story. And like I was saying before, I was on the phone for 45 minutes with this guy. And it was a great conversation, but that pit in my stomach, as soon as I knew I had to call him, it's always there. I'm like, I'm just waiting for the day for that pit in my stomach to just go away. That would be amazing. But that's just going to go away with repetition. But there were so many things that I was already afraid of going into this position. I don't like the unknown, and this whole business is unknown until you get going, until you get that experience. And that was my biggest obstacle. My goodness. So yeah, now that I've kind of, I've learned a thing or two. And so right now my biggest obstacle, I would say, is definitely the dreaded phone calls. But I know if I want to be successful, I've got to, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, every situation is different, so you never know what to expect is the fun part about that.
Yes.
And I can relate to you in that sense. I guess when we started doing this, I was like, yeah, I need to script out every single word of what I'm going to say.
Yes.
And if you go back, listeners, and you watch the very first episode of this here program that I did with Joe, I can tell you a little BTS for you. Every single word that I said was written on a piece of paper.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Which is kind of embarrassing, but
Yeah.
because it never hurts to over prepare. But to relate to your phone thing, I think that's just, and I'm sure you know this, but it's just a muscle that you got to work really more than anything. So now, hey, 50 episodes later, as you probably know, I have a list of questions here, but we veer in different directions and whatnot, and so it's just a thing that you just got to do it over and over again, unfortunately.
Yes. And I'm right at that age where when texting was like the new thing, I was maybe in 8th grade. So I never really grew up with that. I saw my mom on the phone all the time. But I never really grew up with like being on the phone for hours and hours, unless it was a boy. That's different. But yeah, I just, even me and my friends. So it's not that I don't want to, or that like I'm, just refusing to. It's definitely a muscle that I got to work, and I've just never really had to. So yeah.
Hey, listen. Well, it sounds like you are definitely taking the steps to work on that. So I'll give you a shout out for that, Allison.
Well, thank you.
No problem. I got tres más questions for you here. Okay. So this one is interesting. Everybody has role models, influential people in their life.
Yes.
We can't do it all alone, as you know. If you could, Allison, tell me a little bit about one person or group of people or whoever that have had an impact specifically on your career.
On my career. Man, so the very first one that I would have to say is my dad. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it really is my dad. He's the one that kind of opened my eyes to real estate, not necessarily the market, but just to properties, like knowing houses, knowing the areas and everything like that. He's the one that kind of started it all, I guess. My husband, he's a big supporter of me and my career, not necessarily to, just so we can make more money, but he wants me to be happy. He genuinely wants me to be happy. He knew I would be good at this job. So he was didn't have to convince me so much, but he was just there. So it was nice to know I had his support. Yeah. And then, God, this is going to sound super I'm going to feel like a brown noser. Oh my God, I'm going to be a brown noser. So I remember my very first, the Tuesday trainings over at the hotel. So the first one I went to, it was the panel with Joe, Chris, Mike, and Tim. And I was mesmerized. It's so dorky, but I was just mesmerized. I don't know if it was new or whatnot. I don't know, but I remember thinking these are my role models. Right. These are the people that when I grow up, this is who I want to be. And so when I actually had the opportunity to work with Chris, I was like, oh my God, my dreams are coming true. I know her. and I was up front and just this was my face the whole time.
Say more.
Oh
say
my
more.
gosh, this is gold. Everything that came out of their mouth, I was just like, oh my God. So it's very, very brown nosing, but
not at all.
But yeah, no, they were a big, like, oh my God, I wanted to do good for them. I was so new and so scared of everything back then. But now and I didn't even know I was actually going to be working with Chris. She was a team leader, actually.
That's
So
right.
yeah. So whenever, Tim proposed this, and then I met with Joe, he told me it was going to be a few buyer specialists, and I think he said Chris at one point, or obviously it became clear that she was going to be one. So I was like, oh my God, again. So this was like just meant to be.
I think so.
Right. So yeah, and shout out to Chris and Brooke and Amy. I did work, I think a couple deals with her, but they've just been so amazing and so supportive, and I can ask them anything, and this whole platform. I mean, I feel like more agents should try it, like especially newer agents, because you feel the support.
Yeah.
You feel that like your company is behind you and wants you to do well. And not only that, like they're really there. Like when Chris says, I'm here for you, like whatever you need, I know I can text her or call her at any time and she'll pick up. If she's available. I know she is kind of busy. I shouldn't say that. I won't go that far. But she is available, and I've learned so much from the both of them. Brooke, I mean, man, she is my girl. We have had so many deals together.
She hustles,
oh
yeah.
my
Brooke
gosh.
hustles.
I love it. I love working with her. I couldn't be more happy with this company.
No, I love to hear it. I do.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a good company to work for.
Everybody you just named is like so many years of combined experience between them,
Yeah, and I no longer feel afraid to, reach out to people, or because it was reaching out and being afraid of like them asking that one question, and then it like blows your whole cover. Like, oh shoot, you realize I'm so not experienced. But being able to work with them, it's like they've been able to kind of ease those or calm those nerves. So yeah, it's completely changed my career.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear from somebody at that level too, that like, hey, I've been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just to be able to like kind of go to them with your frustrations, or like, what in the heck is going on with these people? Is it just me, or is this normal? And 9 times out of 10, it's like, yep, that's normal.
That'll happen.
I've seen that like 5 times already. Like, okay, good.
Probably one of my most quoted things on here is from when Chris was on the show, and she said like, I was like brown nosing.
Yeah.
And I was like, Chris, man, you're so knowledgeable. You've been in the game for so long. Like, you must know like everything there is to know about real estate. And she's like, Paul, you have no idea. Every single day I learn something new. And I'm like, wow. And that was like, I don't know, episode 7 or something like that. And so it was just funny that was such a perspective shift for me. And then I was like, oh, okay. Even when they are at like a Chris level, there's still so many moving parts.
Oh yeah. I know.
Be ready for anything.
I'm so like, I'm kind of happy that when I feel like it's just like, what is going on right now type of situation, she's even in the same boat, and it's like, oh, okay, oh, I have like the same thoughts as Chris. Oh my gosh.
Doing all right.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, those are great answers there, Allison. Love all those people.
Yeah.
I don't know your husband or your dad, but I'm sure they're great fellas.
Yes.
So this is my fun question for you.
Oh, okay.
If you were not a real estate agent, Allison.
Oh, this one.
In an alternative timeline,
Okay.
what would you be doing as a job?
This one's kind of tricky. I have thought I could do so many things. Like when I was, a stay-at-home mom and kind of figuring out what's my next move. Oh, I went from like a hairdresser to a teacher to a guidance counselor to an accountant to, I was all over the map.
Jack of all trades.
Oh my goodness. Yes. But I think the one thing that always kind of, stood out, and now I like, even in this job, I think I would love to be an investigator.
Oh,
I do. I love it.
that's cool.
It really is. I actually have a client. So she works, she lives up in Jacksonville, and she's an investigator. Like
Like a PI,
like
kinda?
a real deal type
Oof.
of thing. So I love it when she asks me a question, I'll be like, I'll look into it. Like, it's like, I love you so much. I'm like, I love you too, because
Yeah.
you like indulge my fantasy.
Kindred spirits, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. So yeah, I think I would be an investigator.
Ooh.
It just is fascinating. I like to solve puzzles. Like I'm big into Sudoku too. Oh my gosh, anything I can like kind of solve. But yeah, I also get distracted very easily too. That's another
Catch-22.
downfall. Yeah.
That's all right. I think you would enjoy this game. It's like a board game kind of thing. That's like to hunt a killer or something like that.
Yes.
Where you
My
get all these little
gosh.
like clues and whatnot, and you have to try and like guess it. It's kind of like Clue, but
Yeah.
a more complicated version of that, I
Right.
guess. You
Which
know?
Clue? That was my game. I
Great
loved
game.
that game. Oh my gosh. And then the movie came out.
And we're back.
Oh, yay.
So I don't know if I cut it out, but our headphones just died, so we're back anyways. Yeah, Clue, great game, great game.
Gosh.
Okay, cool. I've never gotten that answer before, Allison, so that's a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good too.
I've gotten a DJ, podcaster,
Oh, yeah.
some other strange ones in there.
Yeah.
That's why I like that question. You never know what people are going to say.
You really don't?
Yeah. Okay, so hey, we kind of blew through those questions there, Allison.
Oh,
I have one final question for you.
okay.
As they know out there, this is how we end every episode.
Okay.
So if you had to give advice to the new agents out there, agents who might be struggling, or people who haven't even started yet, maybe they're thinking about, becoming
Right.
a real estate agent, what would your advice be to them?
My advice, it's after many videos and trainings and webinars, even like self-development or self-development. No, that's not it.
Self-help, maybe?
Self-help.
All right.
The one thing that I kept seeing on repeat over and over again, no matter what business you're in, was to make sure you create good habits every day.
Yeah.
Having a morning routine is amazing, even and going as far as having a nighttime routine. I feel like that is it's such an important thing, because you're able to, it helps you able like think clearly.
Yeah.
And if you're starting your day off right on the right foot every single day, no matter what comes your way, you'll be able to handle it. And I think in this business, every day is different.
Mhm.
Every day can be the best day, or every day can be the worst day.
That's right.
So if you can have some consistency of, practicing, like writing in a gratitude journal. I've got like 5 journals. That's the other thing is I'm a journal hoarder. I love it so much. And pens, all the colorful pens.
Don't even get me started.
Oh, but that's what makes me happy. And I've figured out, kind of what works for me. So creating those good habits and daily routines, to me, that's game changer.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have anything to do with real estate or any business or anything like that. It has to come from you. And I feel like that's how I'm able to kind of stay positive, is because I've kind of figured out, like, if I can start my day off on the right foot, I can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
that's my piece of advice.
I can relate to that totally. I don't have a morning routine per se, but there is one thing I do every single morning. Just make the bed. Just make the bed.
Oh my gosh, that is what it started.
It takes
every day.
1 minute.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh,
Hey,
look at that.
Oh my gosh.
And you start off on the right foot, and
Oh
every
my
little
gosh.
task after that
Yes.
is just so much easier.
Yes. Oh, that's so funny. That was the one thing that I started doing every morning, because there was like a Admiral something. There was a book on it, and then it kind of got a little bit of attention, and he was talking at it was his commencement speech or something like that, and so I caught it on YouTube, and I was like, oh my god, make your bed. What? That's so simple. And then and I actually have a funny story. So I started doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you for how I've been doing it for years now. So, but about a couple of months in, my husband, God love him, but he was like, I was telling him I want to make bed. Can you? He's like, you make the bed? I'm like, oh, no, you didn't. So to this day, every time he's in the room, if I'm making the bed, I'm like, look, babe.
You make a point of it.
I'm making the bed.
That's good.
Yeah. So.
No, it's such an easy thing to do,
Yeah, it really is.
I think that's good advice. Start with yourself, guys.
Yes, whatever works for you, whatever routine works for you. You don't have to do gratitude journal or meditate or anything like that. But definitely something that's consistent, that starts your day off right off on the right foot. I think is just awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Allison. That's episode 50 in the can, my friend.
I feel so honored.
Hey, listen. I wasn't sure who it was going to be. It was a little bit of a surprise. And they said Allison. I was like, perfect. Yes. So I appreciate you stopping by on a Sunday, my friend.
Oh, no problem.
Anything that you want to promote, any social media? You don't have to say yes. Sometimes when I ask that question, people are like, I don't want them following.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I already follow pretty much everybody in the office. So, and I have my own real estate page, but it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest.
That's what Brooke said last week too. Yeah. I was like, don't even worry about it.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, she just liked one of my pictures.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So follow 54 Realty in that scenario.
Yeah.
At Go 54 Realty on most platforms. At 54 Realty on others. Mm-hmm. That's it, my friends. Listen, y'all. 5-0. We did it.
Woo!
Woo! I've never talked so much in my entire life. But I'm looking forward to continuing to do so. I'll see you guys next week. Not sure who our guest is yet, but guess what? It'll be a special one, as always.
Oh, yeah.
We thank you for listening, right, Allison?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Or watching.
Yeah, either or.
Subscribe on all the things. Follow on all the social medias at The Real Estate Playbook, yada, yada, yada. Yes. Humbly yours, Paul. And you know what? Take care. Meditate. We'll see you next week.
That was awesome.